Welcome to the F1 Debate Show. Sebastian Vettel throws a hissy fit.
And Max Verstappen gets fed up.
For over 70 years, Formula 1 has produced some of the most amazing Grand Prix that ever took place in the world. And the 2017 Azerbaijan Grand Prix was one of them races. Now, so much happened in this race that we could have done a debate show and a review in the same episode because there was just that much happening. So, as you can tell from what we're wearing, I think you know exactly what we're going to talk about. The Bottas right in the situation. No, of course we're not. The Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton. Now, the saga, what's going on with that? Because it's just massive, massive headlines. Probably a lot bigger than what happened in 2014 with Rosberg and Hamilton at Monaco for obviously nearly midpoint of the season. So basically, for anyone that's been living under a rock, as we like to say, for the past few days, or if you're like, hang on, wait, I've missed this Grand Prix. What's going on? Basically, the safety car's out again for like the 13,000th time. Safety car do more laps than Julian Palmer. Some sort of new record now. I think it actually has this season. No word of a lie. So basically, Lewis Hamilton's in front, Sebastian Vettel's behind him, and obviously Hamilton is slowing the pack down, getting ready for the restart. So, and obviously on the camera, obviously on TV, you can see Hamilton slows down. And now it looks like he slows down a lot. Now this is what people have been debating about. So Hamilton slows down, Vettel hits to the back of him, loses a bit of his front wing. Oh dear, okay, that's, obviously Vettel's not going to be happy about that because he's lost a bit of his front wing and he's like, whoa, hang on, what's going on here? So he pulls over to the side, he's giving it that, obviously giving the arms, obviously he's not very happy. And then he drives into him and you're like, hang on, what are we witnessing right here? And obviously since then, like Twitter, Facebook, everything has just went blowing up just by that, literally that 10-15 seconds of pure drama. Now, obviously, we're just going to basically go into our opinions of what we generally think is actually what is going on with them two, basically. So we aren't either a Hamilton or a Vettel fan, so really you're getting an opinion from a neutral's point of view, because Hamilton fans are saying Vettel's in the wrong and Vettel fans are saying Hamilton's in the wrong, and oh God, it's honestly, I know quite a few Hamilton fans on Twitter and that who are just literally slating Vettel and vice versa. All these Vettel groups are slating Hamilton. So obviously, let's rewind back to the start of this incident. So obviously the safety car's out. I think it was because there was debris on the track. I think this is like the third or fourth time it was out. And it appears on the camera that Hamilton slows down a lot. So obviously Vettel goes into the back of him, as I just said. Now the telemetry shows that Hamilton didn't actually slow down, massively. So obviously either Vettel was too eager to be getting away because it was also near the restart. And on the last safety car, Hamilton actually took off a lot earlier than what Vettel was expecting, and obviously Vettel lost out. When he obviously went to try to catch up with him, he was like, obviously frustrated because Hamilton got away obviously a lot, unexpectedly. Vettel wasn't expecting him to pull away that quickly, so it was like, whoa. So obviously, he's eager, he's full of like, come on, I want to get it, I'm ready for you. And so obviously he's hits the back of him, and he's obviously full of rage. Obviously the adrenaline's flowing, the anger's, angry. He's angry, Seb, now. And obviously pulls over and giving it the arms. Now, obviously he's telling Hamilton, what are you doing? Why has that happened? So either you could argue, is that Hamilton's fault? Or was Vettel going too fast? I think Vettel was too eager and going too fast. And I think that he just took his foot off the gas, well, not literally, but he took the foot off the gas a bit in terms of concentration, went in the back of him, and obviously just he didn't really want to blame himself because he thought, oh my God, as if I've just literally done that. I'm a four-time world champion in a Ferrari. I'm doing so well. Why have I just done that? So obviously he's raging, obviously giving it the arms. But then for him to turn into Hamilton, like literally turn his car into him, I thought that for me was just like, he's lost a lot of respect in the F1 paddock because of that. And now normally,
and his front wing,
definitely. Now, for me, I'm just going to basically quote what Hamilton said in his interview, where he said, basically, Vettel is he should be leading an example to other drivers in the lower ranks who are coming through that, you should be this professional driver and obviously just respect everyone on the grid. Now, Vettel wasn't doing that. Vettel literally caused the collision, as Martin Brundle was saying. He was like, he's literally caused the collision. Now, the aftermath of that was Vettel got a 10-second stop-go penalty, which obviously made him lose the race. And then he got 3 points on his super license which now means he's only 3 points away from a race ban. Now he's on 9 points so far. You need 12 points to actually get that one race ban. So obviously that will be very, very costly in the World Championship result. Now we all know Sebastian Vettel has a hot head, because we obviously the 2016 Mexican Grand Prix, for example, that was just absolutely insane. Like, I've never known a reaction like it. So we all know when Vettel gets angry, he's going to explode, and as he did. Obviously Hamilton took it cool. Hamilton said, you know, I'm not going to talk to him, I'm not going to speak to him, it's just going to, you know, the gloves are officially off between these two. They shook hands in China. That's no more anymore. None of the shaking hands, like what we've seen with Rosberg and Hamilton when they first joined in Mercedes, you know, 2013. All happy, smiley, good old friends, and that's all gone now. So I think we are witnessing another rivalry. So this is what we want to see. So in my opinion, I think Vettel is in the wrong. I don't think Hamilton actually, you know, intended to do that. I think Vettel just got a bit ahead of himself. It was in the spur of the moment, so you know, you could say to Vettel, okay, maybe he got like too hot-headed at the time. But I personally think Vettel went too far. He should have pulled over to the side. Obviously, yes, sure that he was angry, and then just slot back in position. Why did he have to hit him? That was just pathetic, in my opinion. That was just stupid. Yeah. And luckily that these suspensions this season are a lot stronger, because otherwise it would have caused some damage. But then also it could have caused, like, you know, I wouldn't say a huge crash, because they were going so slowly. But you know, anything could have happened. You know, it could have hurt somebody, really. You know, you might think, okay, that might overreact. But that's what the stewards are looking at. They want everyone to be safe. Now you can't do that whether you're going at 2 mile an hour or 220 mile an hour. It is wrong at the end of the day. So my opinion, Vettel is in the wrong. He should really get punished. I think the punishment is now done. I think, okay, they should all leave it, because he was very close to getting a disqualification, is what I was hearing. So I think a disqualification is a bit too far, but that is for another story. So it's done. We move on to Austria. You know, that's pretty much it. So Lyle, what's your opinion on this? Now, I'm just going to go straight into it. Vettel or Hamilton? Who was in the wrong?
Well, I mean, just to start off with, John, you said it. You know, it's done and dusted. Let's go into Austria. Well, not really, because I find this is a massive topic. So obviously, you said about that. I'm not going to give you just a straight answer. I'm going to elaborate quite a lot. And obviously, so I've got three kind of like comparisons of what's happened in the past in Formula 1. Okay, so I've got the 1990 Japanese Grand Prix, I've got the 2016 Austrian Grand Prix, and I have the 2012 Belgian Grand Prix. Okay, so in 1990, as you all know, Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost collided. They collided on the first corner. Okay, and that was massive, because basically they took out two championship rivals. And that was like really mad. Obviously, that was massive. We knew what happened in 1989. Obviously, they both collided into the casino chicane. Obviously, it was really big from them. And obviously, then Senna restarted, got disqualified. So obviously, it was big from them. But that was almost like, that was obviously frowned upon, because it was two championship taking them out. But then the biggest one in terms of what Sebastian got in terms of like throwing his way, which obviously, as John said, was close to a race ban. So we're going to go into that now, and that's obviously the 2012 Belgian Grand Prix. Romain Grosjean, obviously, as you know, collides obviously with Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, and it's Kobayashi, obviously on the first corner in La Source, obviously massive. And then Grosjean gets a race ban for Italy. Obviously, very reckless driving from Grosjean, but the intention really wasn't there. And the last comparison I've got is the intention, and that's the 2016 Austrian Grand Prix. Okay, so obviously Nico Rosberg collides with Lewis Hamilton. Okay, as they're going into, I think it's something like corner 5, obviously the uphill corner at the Austrian Grand Prix last year. Obviously Lewis Hamilton goes on to win the race. And then obviously Nico Rosberg has problems with his floor and his front wing as it pulls along the floor. But there were things that were coming out after the Austrian Grand Prix last year that were saying that Rosberg turned in on Hamilton intentionally, came up the inside intentionally, just to kind of be annoying, to rub in the fact that, you know, he wants the win and Hamilton's just not going to get it. Like, there's just no point in you even trying. And obviously just going back to all the little squabbles that they've had in the past, as John said, obviously Monaco in 2014, Belgium 14, obviously 2015 at each other's throats.
Yeah.
And obviously big one in 2016 was obviously those two colliding in Spain, which was only, I think, about 3 races before Austria, so it was very fresh. And obviously those two, you know, that have hated each other almost. So that was a massive thing, and that's the thing about intention. It's like, did Sebastian do this intentionally? And my opinion is, I mean, the first thing, it's a racing incident. It's almost like, so basically it happens, okay, John, it happens if Sebastian went into the back of Lewis, okay, and they both went like that, which they did. Lewis did one hand, Vettel did both, okay? But, you know, that's the thing. I mean, like, if that happened, okay, that's happened. But at that moment, it's happened. It's done and dusted. Nobody's got damage whatsoever. I think Vettel lost maybe a tiny bit of his front wing. That's it. There's no damage. There's nothing bad about it. Vettel might get a little slap on the wrist for it. Like, but the thing is, it is a racing incident. It is a racing incident. Obviously, Hamilton put on his brakes. That wasn't really done intentionally, but I didn't think Vettel went into it intentionally. At that point, it was just a racing mistake. If that's an actual word, it's just a mistake. Just one of those genuine things. A bit like. And John, just quickly to see, you can agree on this, okay? So again, like what you know, before I'm going to say my next thing. You know, in 2011 at the Canadian Grand Prix, when Jensen Button, obviously in the rainy race, obviously Jensen Button was on the charge, Lewis Hamilton was coming through. Obviously, remember on the home straight, and obviously Jensen Button moves over and clips Lewis Hamilton's front wing, obviously giving him suspension damage on his front right tyre, obviously calling him to retire. If that was an accident, then what I'm going to say next will make a lot more sense to you even. So in that incident alone, would you say that was a racing incident, like on purpose, or would you just say that was like an accident? Because obviously, as you remember, two teammates coming together, very, very big occurrence, but it's Jensen Button and Lewis Hamilton, two British people who have a lot of respect for each other. So what would you have said, just quickly, what would you say about that incident?
Well, obviously, I would have said that was an accident, definitely, because just judging from on the Jensen Button side of things, if you want to refer to that, it's because Jensen Button isn't really that type of driver. He doesn't have a hot head. He's just kind of calm and relaxed. Obviously at the time he had the right car, and obviously this is before he had all these accidents and 17,000 pit stops, and like 10-hour red flags type of thing. So, and Button even said after the race, I didn't see him. I hold my hands up. But like with Sebastian Vettel, he's not. And then he even said, I didn't do anything.
So he was still, you're right.
That's the bit that...
So he was still thinking that he was in... Yeah, he was still thinking he was in the right. But like that, for example. So anyway, so obviously, as I said before, for the first part, if that just happened, that would have been fine. That would have just been a racing incident. But the second part, and he goes into him, and the thing is as well, I mean... It really did. It really, really did. I don't think there was anything in terms of wind, or obviously, he had his both hands up, the steering wheel might have gone in. No. Sebastian Vettel intentionally rammed into Lewis Hamilton, right? He must have thought, and obviously we know, as John said, we know how bad Sebastian Vettel is in terms of this. He has a very short fuse, really does. And obviously, remember, the guy who's in charge is Charlie Whiting, and we know what he feels about him, don't we, John? You know, we know what Sebastian Vettel feels about Charlie after the Mexican Grand Prix game, what you just mentioned. So we know how he feels about him. And I was going to say about, obviously, if he's not going to win any friends in terms of that. In terms, so let's say if he was going to try and get on Charlie's good side, whatever excuse he was going to say about it. But that's the thing, is like he intentionally just went into the side of him. So yeah, in my opinion, obviously, I mean, by the way, I'm not supporting Mercedes. By the way, this is like almost like a bit of a a pun on channel. I'm not supporting Mercedes, but actually, yes, I am. I mean, yes, I am. I'm supporting Mercedes because I'm blaming Sebastian Vettel. Yes, I am doing that. Sorry about that. Yes, I am. I'm blaming Vettel.
Yeah, I'm obviously. I'm blaming Vettel as well, but I thought I did say like, it would be a good idea if you wore a Mercedes shirt now or a Ferrari.
So there we go, there guys. Blame Jordan because he's supporting the wrong team. So yes, I am supporting Mercedes because I'm defending Mercedes. Yes, anyway, so obviously they did, and then that's the third thing almost that we're coming back to. What John just said, Sebastian Vettel thought he was in the right. He did. He was saying it on the thing. So obviously after the podium celebrations were going on, obviously well done, Lance, because obviously he was the talk of the town at that time. I mean, he was doing absolutely fantastic. After he was like the talk of the town, and then it went on to Rachel Brooks, who was doing the interviews, obviously for Lewis and Sebastian, obviously on Sky Sports. And Lewis, I thought Lewis was a bit shaken up by it, but I don't even shaken up like crying her out. I mean, he was just probably a bit like, come on, Sebastian, you're a 4-time world champion.
Shocked, shocked that happened, because it's like obviously, you seen on the camera, Hamilton was just like, obviously. He felt like a bit of a nudge, like, oh, someone's hit us, and he was, then you see him look in his mirrors, just type of thing, and the next thing you know,
but you know what, John, it's right. I mean, he probably, if he was going to get shunted, he was probably thinking that it might be Sebastian, but it would just be a mistake. What happens next? He didn't expect from any driver, but it's almost like Lewis Hamilton's shock was because it was like, Seb, you're the 4-time world champion. Honestly, you've been in Formula 1 for, let's say, 10 years this year. 9 or 10 years, whatever people want to say. Like a long time in Formula 1, one of the veterans. Obviously, one of the most experienced and one of the nicest as well. I just kind of believe you've done something like that. It's almost like one of those kind of like betrayal kind of looks. He was in shock, but obviously then after Vettel in the game, Hamilton heard Vettel's what he was saying on the camera, and he got a bit fierce after that because he had about 5 interviews, getting passed around and stuff like that. And then eventually it was like Lewis obviously was in a bit of like stunned. Vettel then was like defending himself, saying that obviously Hamilton caused all the problems. I did nothing. Obviously, I kind of believe I got that 10-second stop and go penalty, which obviously he thought was the end of the world. Hamilton didn't. I've got to say, I mean, I don't think anything. Well, I don't know about disqualification. I'll answer that in a bit, but that was obviously pretty severe what he got. Obviously, well done FIA for giving him that. I mean, because I've got to say 10-second stop and go. Apart from disqualification, that is, I think that is the harshest kind of in session like sanction you can get. It sounds like it anyway. Apart from a 20-second stop and go.
So yeah, I think it's like a 10-second time penalty or a 10-second stop and go penalty. I think a 10-second time penalty is probably a bit harsher.
Well, no. Do you know what? I don't think so.
But then, do you know what I think? Well. Then again, you could say that because you got a 10-second stop and go, but then obviously you've got like the 5 seconds that it takes.
Yeah, I was going to say so. Yeah, so I think 10-second stop and go is definitely the hardest. Yes. So anyway, back on their interviews, obviously Hamilton was feeling a bit like shocked about what had happened. Vettel was defending himself, and then after that it got a bit quite hot under the collar. Basically, then Vettel was saying like, obviously Hamilton should give us a break and that nothing's going on. And then basically, I remember there was one thing that was said obviously on the interviews, and then Hamilton just said like Vettel's getting quite fierce. Well, if he wants to show that he's a big man in the car, because obviously he did that just to show he's a big man. It's almost like someone at school, like doing something cool in front of a teacher, going, look how cool I am, guys, respect me for that. It was like, well, if Vettel wants to show how big of a man he is, why don't we get outside and fight? You know what I mean? That was it. He said, word for word, he said, in my village where I grew up, Stevenage, where I grew up, they're like the fighting words, you know what I mean? Just like, if you want to prove out you're a big man, let's get out and let's fight. In the Austrian Grand Prix, instead of driving, before FP1, let's go out onto the start-finish line and have a bit of a tussle. Me on you, England v Germany. Let's just have another World Cup, you know what I mean? Let's have another...
Well, probably... Do you know what? That's probably a bad idea because we'll lose on penalties.
Exactly. But, I don't know. Hamilton seems like he's a tough cookie, I know. I think he knows what he's doing. But yeah, anyway, so... Yeah. That's our verdicts, but it really was massive. And just quickly on the reputation of Sebastian Vettel... A lot of drivers, and when I say a lot of drivers, I mean a lot of drivers. Almost all the drivers have seen this, and a lot of them have come out with statements saying what's going on. I mean, Ricciardo has said it's not the Vettel that we expect, we've seen before. The Force and you have just said, no, this is just not acceptable. Obviously, the FIA have definitely said, no, this is just not, this never happens in Formula 1. Nothing this severe has happened. Obviously, we've had problems in the past, as I say, we've had Grosjeans, crashing into them, we've had different teammates, crashing into each other, we've had obviously Multi-21, which again is, it's on like the save wave levelers, FIA problems for Formula 1, but this was massive. And I've got to say, for the Austrian Grand Prix, nothing's been confirmed yet, because obviously it's about a week away now. Well, it's a week away now. But in my guess, right, do you remember in which race? Brazil. Do you remember in Brazil, Charlie Whiting was in the press conference with Sebastian Vettel, obviously after what he'd said in Mexico? I think that's going to happen again in Austria. I think that Charlie Whiting or somebody from the FIA will be like sitting next to Vettel and like in almost like in the middle of Vettel and Hamilton, like a teacher, like separating them.
I think they'll definitely be, because obviously now, well, I probably not, because obviously I don't know, but obviously they've changed the way the press conference works now. You have one session of 3, then another one of 3. So I think what they might do is that they might have Vettel in one, Hamilton in the other.
I think no, John. I think they'll do. I think they'll do that. They'll do that intentionally. Because I'll tell you something as well. I mean, intentionally. Remember Train Places last year. They did what we probably again. Yeah, do you know what we probably said? That we probably said what you've just what you've just said. We probably said that last year that Daniel and Max wouldn't be in the same press conference, and look at what happened. They were both in the same press conference. So no, I think that Vettel and Hamilton will be in the same press conference because we'll want to see what happens. I mean, they are Formula 1 drivers, Jordan. They're not gonna actually like fist fight, but Hamilton is gonna be almost red in the face about what's happened, and Vettel will be red in the face, but for the wrong reasons. And in this fight, Hamilton is definitely winning because Hamilton's in the right and Vettel is in the wrong, which is obviously, it's a shame to say, but Vettel is completely in the wrong about what he's doing. He's on the verge of losing respect, but I've got to say something. Austria's coming up, right? And he needs to keep his nose clean, because anything could happen. I mean, it's almost like scary for Vettel. It's almost like it's almost scary about what could actually happen. Do you know what I mean? It's like, say if he does something wrong in Austria, people could get scared about what is actually going to happen to Sebastian in Austria. I mean, his reputation and that is going to be fierce. But It will be hard. But I mean, do you think by the Austrian Grand Prix, do you think things will have calmed down, or do you think it'll still be? I mean, it'll be a big talking point. But do you think in terms of drivers and like how angry they are, do you think it'll be like as big as it is now?
I think now. Well, I think. Okay, let's say by the Austrian Grand Prix, I think both drivers would have. Well, Hamilton especially would have calmed down a bit and thought, right, I'm going to focus on the game. I'm going to focus on what I do. That's what Hamilton will be saying in his press conference. You know, okay, that's last race. I'm now in Austria. I'm going to focus on winning the race, getting pole position, and doing what I do. When really, probably in the back of his mind, he's thinking, "Well, I'm going to keep an eye on this Ferrari guy." But
yeah,
but obviously, it's going to be obviously that's the first thing they're going to get. You know, they're going to get out the car on Thursday in the press conference and be like, "Welcome, gentlemen. So Hamilton, Austria, Baku." That's all they're going to get. Or probably up until probably the summer break, because I think this is going to be like quite a big. Media
well, do you know what I think?
Until then,
I think it'll be big in the media. I think the FIA will never forget it, but I think Hamilton will. We know how calm and cool and collective that he is. I mean, he always goes on about like how philosophical he is out of the car, and that I think what he's basically going to do is I think after Baku he'll have gone off. You know, maybe, I don't know where he goes, you know, just to relax, he'll, you know, got his thoughts, gather his thoughts ahead of Austria, obviously the race before Silverstone. In the game, remember, he's obviously 66 pole positions. He is on the charge, obviously, in match and beat Michael Schumacher's record, you know, that's his main focus. He's not bothered about this little childish fight, so I think that he'll calm himself down and he'll move on from this. The FIA, it'll still be on their minds, it'll still be on other people's minds, but no, I think Hamilton will actually, do you know what, I think Hamilton actually will be the first driver to forget about this, you know what I mean? I think he'll be the first driver to move on, you know what I mean? I think he'll just...
Right. I mean, obviously, if there's any Vettel fans out there who want to defend Sebastian Vettel, and if you're saying, well, no, you two are wrong. This is, I've got this information. You know, share it with us. But obviously, before we end the segment, we want to know, in your opinion, was Hamilton in the wrong? Was Seb in the wrong? Or are we just thinking, I'm not bothered. That for me is just too childish. I don't even want to think about that. I just want to focus on the Grand Prix. But all I'm going to say now to end this is that act your age, not your race number.
Hang on, Ted.
Oh, no, issue with the engine.
No. Not again for Max Verstappen, who's just having such dismal luck when it comes to mechanical reliability this season.
Yeah, here we go again.
Exactly.
Now, this time last year, Max Verstappen was a race winner, and his teammate Daniel Ricciardo wasn't. Max came in from Toro Rosso just before the Spanish Grand Prix and wowed us all. I mean, basically, this time last year, he was the prodigy. He was Dutch's second coming, if that makes sense. He was a really, real, big, bright, burning star. But basically, this year, it hasn't gone Max's way. And I think at this time, that this is why we decided to cover it at this point, okay? Because it's quite early on, obviously just before Red Bull's home race, we've decided to cover it, and we're going to say, is Max Verstappen getting sick of Red Bull? Now, he was brought in, okay, Max Verstappen was actually brought in by Red Bull midway through last season. Massive, absolutely massive story, training place. I mean, I think we mentioned it last year. We said that this will be one boot that'll never ever close. It will be open for all eternity. Trading places will be a massive thing. When people think of trading places, they don't think of that movie with Dan Aykroyd. They think of, Daniel Kvyat and Max Verstappen. Honestly, that is what they think of. But anyway, so obviously, they were brought in. Max was brought in because he was the next guy to bring balance to Red Bull. He was like Star Wars is, coming like the chosen one, really. He was a chosen one. He came in to do all of this, and he had a good season last year. Obviously, won, as I say, about 10 rounds before his teammates, so it was absolutely fantastic. But this year, as I said, as we opened the episode, it hasn't gone his way. And Max Verstappen is a guy who he needs to win. He needs to get those results. And the things that basically Red Bull Racing, it's not going for them. Now, basically, so Max Verstappen's raw result at the moment, okay, so obviously, we have just finished Azerbaijan, which obviously is round 8. In those 8 rounds, he has had 4 DNFs. First one was in Bahrain, obviously, with a brake failure. The second one was in Spain. The third one was in Canada. Obviously, we all remember that one, leading the race as well. Massive, massive moment for that. And then, obviously, the last one, the most recent one, was obviously in Azerbaijan. Just a moment where he pulls over in the car when smoke is coming out, and basically his radio message, almost word for word, is, I love this, I really thought this was good. He was like, no, swearing, obviously, beep, and then it was like, oh, here we go again, like, oh, you can just imagine, like, his face, it was like, oh, do you know what, here we go again, like, honestly, honestly, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Look at the things Seb owns, honestly. So, you know, Max has got to say something else. And here we go again, you know, was there. But that thing is, like, it was here we go again, you know. That's, oh, Max is sick of this now. He really, really is. One podium in China, which obviously he fought, which was obviously really great between, obviously, the battle between Seb and Lewis, which was really, really great from him. And then, obviously, 3 raw 5th places. 1 at his teammate's home race in Australia, 1 at the Russian Grand Prix, and 1 in Monaco, which obviously was good. And this also means that obviously he finished, remember, if you remember last year, he didn't crash in twice in that weekend. So with Max Verstappen, those results are definitely not what he wants. And obviously in the World Championship, 6th place with 45 points. I know you might think 6th place is not too bad, but you've got to remember, round 8 at the moment. We're not even halfway. And 8th place would have been okay for last year. It would have been quite good in the Toro Rosso. It would have been quite good. I think that obviously the next Toro Rosso is obviously Carlos Sainz in 9th place. So it would have been good in a Toro Rosso. In a Red Bull last year, when he was 18/19, it would have been like, it's not too bad. I mean, obviously we're looking down the road to see how Daniel Kvyat is doing, but obviously it's not too bad. But we're in Red Bull 2017. We're in that stage where Max Verstappen is 20 years old this year, officially a man. And he needs to be pulling these results out of the bag, especially with his teammate who's in 4th place with 92 points. And obviously, as we all know, Daniel Ricciardo is on a storm. Really good results, but obviously the best. He is obviously out of 8 races. He's had 2 retirements, obviously in Russia and in obviously unfortunately his home race in Australia. But that means though he's finished lower than 6th in every single race that he's finished. Not to mention his 4 on the bounce podiums, including 1 victory, which obviously was the Azerbaijan Grand Prix last week. Which means he's done the shoey for 4 podiums on the bounce. And obviously that means I think every driver who's on the podium with Daniel Ricciardo now is probably sick of that, going, oh my god, I hate the taste. And obviously, as we know, Lance Stroll said that there was some dirt in.
Yes.
Yep, exactly. He did.
So,
obviously, very big from him. He's 18 years old. He's on a podium, which is good. But did he ever think he'd be doing that? You know, too soon, which obviously is good from him. Anyway, so Max Verstappen. They are not the results he wants, okay? And it's not the results that he wants before Daniel. And I know we said a few episodes ago that we wanted Daniel to win before. Well, I said that I'd like Daniel to win before Max because Daniel's been there at the team longer. He looks like he's deserving it. But I still wanted Max to finish races. I still wanted Max to do well. And he has had some okay results. But he's had 4 retirements. 4. That is not what Red Bull need. That is pathetic. Honestly, that's pathetic. I mean, so basically, I want to remind you to what I said a few episodes ago, which was 2013 British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Sebastian Vettel retires with a gearbox failure. That moment to me was massive for Red Bull because it was like, this is crazy. Red Bull Racing are a team who dominate. They dominated in the past, and they were still dominating, obviously, in 2013. Obviously, they went on 9 in a row, for God's sake. You know, they were dominating like hell. And to do something like this was crazy. They had a few retirements in 2014, which was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. But it's like, it's still, you know, not too bad. A team that's doing really well. 2015 was quite a solid year in terms of no reliability, really. And again, 2016, it was quite good in terms of that flying under the radar in terms of reliability problems. And obviously then just podiums left, right and centre and 2 victories came their way. So obviously, as we know, great team behind Mercedes. But this year, I mean, that's pathetic. 2 retirements by Ricciardo and 4 by Verstappen. And I think that the one that basically, I mean, I know it's not the most recent, but the one that basically annoys everyone, including me, to hell, is Canada. Canada's was just it's like, it was almost like you looked at Christian Horner and you were thinking, I know it's not your fault entirely, obviously. It's a lot of people's fault. It's like, it's people who built the car both in Milton Keynes and in Salzburg. But obviously, it's like, I can't believe that happened. Max was leading the race after his amazing start. I mean, it's like, come on, what? And then he goes and retires. It's ridiculous. And obviously, again, Azerbaijan, he has to pull over with a retirement. And then again, Max Verstappen, he summed it up in those exact words. Here we go again. It's not working for me. This is just, it's a pathetic car. It's almost pathetic. And what is going to stop him, like, kicking off because of this? You know what I mean? Everyone's focusing on Lewis and Seb. No one's focusing on Max and thinking what a crap car he's got at the moment. That really is bad for, I mean, it's bad for Red Bull. 6 retirements, just to start there. But Max, unfortunately, in the Red Bull cake, which is all soggy, you've got the soggiest of the pieces at the moment. Daniel Ricciardo was like, he's getting something out of it. At least he's getting something out of it. You know what I mean? And he did the soggy shoey, you know, last week, but still, he's not getting loads out of it. And Max, I mean, that's pathetic. That 4 retirements, honestly, it's just not what he needs. And Jordan made an episode a few weeks ago where he talked about where would Verstappen go. And the thing is, like, at the moment, his mentality is probably thinking, I want to go up, obviously, and I probably am, but at the moment, Red Bull are becoming a definite no-no. Do you get what I mean? Because why would Max stay at a team that's given him, you know, that's only, you know, he's not finishing races, he's not doing well, you know, he's only finished 4 races. That's, you know, that is really, really low. That, I mean, granted, he's got, you know, as I say, he's finished lower than 6, you know, so again, like Ricardo, you know, that's, when I say lower, I mean like in the pot, you know, like 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, I don't mean like higher than that. You know, so that's good, but he needs a car that's more competitive, and it's just, it's pathetic, and it's one of those things that Max will definitely not want that in his car. And we're not even at the summer break, we're just heading into Red Bull's home race, and I'll tell you something, Red Bull, and I'm telling you now, okay, you better be listening, because I'm telling you, you have one chance. Austria is your one chance. Milton Keynes, you know, obviously you have a base there, so technically Britain's your home race, but obviously, as we know, Austria is obviously where your origins are, so that is a home race for you. You have one chance, and one chance alone, to pull this out of the bag, and I mean 2 finishes by 2 Red Bull drives and 2 points finishes, and hopefully you have to wait until our Austrian Grand Prix preview comes out, or a GT preview show round 9 Austria to come out. But Max should be on, both of them, sorry, should be on for a podium and possibly a victory, but obviously that's for the other episode. But Jordan, I mean, Max, I mean, Daniel, at least he's getting something out of it, but again, he's not on, you know, he's not on easy street at the moment, especially how Red Bull are, you know, treating him. But Max, it's quite frustrating, isn't it, a thing that this is supposed to be the chosen one, and he's, you know, he's getting a car that's, well, you know, 4 retirements. That's kind of pathetic, isn't it?
It is bad, because obviously a driver like Max Verstappen wants to show off his talent, you know what I mean? He wants to show everyone, look, this is what I can do. Prove the critics wrong, who are doubting him as well. Now, let's rewind the clocks back a bit. Now, let's go back to 2016, yes. Let's go back to 2016, where Ricciardo lost about 2 or 3 Grand Prix, well, possible victories, because of Red Bull's mistakes. And Max Verstappen sort of, you know, gained. Let's say Monaco. Monaco's not really, like, not really a one, but let's say Spain, for example. Now, Ricciardo could have won that, however, Red Bull screwed him over, and they screwed him over again in the following race in Monaco. Now, obviously, eventually he won that back in Malaysia by winning the Grand Prix. But it always seemed to be Max Verstappen always had the best reliability. Ricciardo always had like the bad car. He had the worst luck. Now, 2017 was a brand new season, new start, fresh start, and everything. He's probably, you know, the smile was back on Ricciardo's face. Because I think he was still upset about the Monaco thing, which obviously back then, obviously, was like, you know, over a year ago, or, you know, half a year when the season started. So obviously he's coming in at the season. Obviously the reliability, we knew the Red Bull wasn't going to be as fast and reliable because we've seen it in pre-season testing. Even Christian Horner said, you know, we are going to be falling behind, but eventually, hopefully, we'll be able to catch the Mercedes and the Ferrari. So obviously we're showing good pace in pre-season. So Ricciardo retired from the Grand Prix. I think Verstappen finished 5th, I believe. And then the following Grand Prix at China, Verstappen finishes on the podium, and you're thinking, okay, I think Ricciardo's thinking, oh, here we go again. But recently, obviously, 4 podiums on the bounce for Ricciardo in a car that I don't think should be on the podium, because obviously no disrespect to Ricciardo, he's a brilliant driver, but the car just doesn't have the pace. It was like, what I think I said it was something like 1 second away from the Mercedes and the Ferraris, and that's a long way off in Formula 1 terms. 1 second, it's like, you know, that's like that. That's like 1 second, but in qualifying in the race, that's massive. And so I was saying that, like, you know, Red Bull, you know, need to close that gap. But obviously, I mean, finish on the podium, 4 races in a row, and a race win, give or take. It was all of them. I would say luck was playing into it. You know, a race win is a race win, a podium is a podium. But Max Verstappen has got 2 retirements in a row, but now people shouldn't immediately jump on the Max Verstappen bandwagon and say, right, he's a bad driver. He's had 4 retirements this season. No, all of them was because of Red Bull. Red Bull's, you know, how unreliable this car is. Now, Christian Horner has made us aware that this car isn't reliable. Or, you know, well, on one side of the garage anyway, it's not on the other for some strange reason. So Max Verstappen he's obviously getting all this bad luck. Now, it's going to be damaging his reputation, because people go off of how your performances are and your stats and your race finishes. Because if you look at Kevin Magnussen, say, in 2014, he didn't have a bad. He's not a bad driver. He he could be a world champion. Put him in the right car.
Well, can I just say something? Can I just say something, John? I just want just a massive example in terms of that, in terms of like the adversary. I'm just saying. So with Lewis Hamilton last year, as you remember, Lewis Hamilton had loads of problems with engines. He had loads of engine changes.
He did. Yeah.
He had in Malaysia. He said something about 43 engines, and he was the only one that had problems that they've used obviously so far in that season. But yeah, he had loads of problems. Obviously, as you remember, Belgium. He had a starting grid penalty that he started all the way in the in America, back at the factory in Bradley. But you know what I mean. So he had a big penalty there. Obviously, he retired in Malaysia. So he had problems, but then so he had problems a bit like Verstappen. But then what? I mean, I know he didn't win the World Championship, but he got incredibly close. You know what I mean? That's the thing. It's like, as John just said, quickly, it's easy to jump on the bandwagon, but, look at what Hamilton did. Now, that was impressive, that. I think that was probably one of his best seasons. Well, he said it was his toughest season, battling Rosberg, but in terms of his respect, I think it was probably one of his best seasons, because of how much he...
Well, it was because, obviously, sorry to interrupt you there, but basically, he had 10 wins that season. That's the most anyone has got without winning the World Championship, so you could say that is his best season. Yeah.
Oh yeah, very. I mean, it was great just to overcome all those problems. You know what I mean? That was great. That was great. I mean, I remember after Belgium as well, people were almost laughing with Hamilton about how bad his season was going. Like with him, not like saying he was a bad driver, but just laughing with him, saying like, Hamilton, starting, bloody on Mars. You know what I mean? And But I just remember that, and obviously again, just go back to what you were saying. Like remember Hamilton, he pulled it around so much. So Verstappen will eventually. But I mean, just look at his results as well. So if you wanted to say that Verstappen was having a bad, obviously a bad few races, look at that. As I say, he's finished 4 races. He's finished 3 times in 5th place. Obviously, great haul of points, 15 points. And then obviously once on the podium in China. Great race, obviously great circuit for Red Bull also as well. Got obviously where they got their maiden win back in 2009 there. So obviously very good from them. And yeah, Verstappen, just Red Bull is very letting them down. So it's not great, John. It's Red Bull racing. I mean, yeah, McLaren have had their problems. They're been and gone. But Red Bull, they're not going to be a team to be and go. And they're one of the best. They shouldn't be doing this.
Exactly. In terms of Red Bull, their car is probably reliable. Obviously, Red Bull has been known for a team that doesn't have many failures. Like obviously, what you were saying before about Sebastian Vettel's retirement in 2030, it was like, whoa, hang on a second, but we were not expecting that. That whenever a Red Bull retired because of a technical problem, it was very, very rare.
Yeah.
A bit like what you see in Mercedes now. It's like if a Mercedes retires of a technical problem,
like Malaysia.
Exactly.
That was massive.
It was huge. It was like, well, I was not expecting that for sure. But no, I think Red Bull will eventually. I think this season it's a bit like 2016, where they started off slow but then eventually picked up the pace. But however, Ferrari did fall off the pace a bit. I say a bit, a lot, and then obviously finished in 3rd place. But I don't think that's going to happen this season.
Yeah.
Unless they keep their cool. So I think Red Bull is on for a P3 finish, but I think that they should get the season. I see it as a learning curve, but you could say that 2014 was a learning curve, 2015 was a learning curve. It hasn't been the same since it's went to V6.
Yeah.
And I mean, should this season have another? I don't think Verstappen will move because of this form. I think he'll stay for 2018, as I was saying in episode 57, but. Red Bull should probably consider moving engine suppliers.
Yeah.
Because of.
Oh, I know a good one.
What?
Honda.
Red Bull Honda. There you go.
Obviously, jokes.
That'd be quite impressive. Quite impressive. I think
Just
we've lost a lot of Red Bull fans there.
Just on that thing though, John. Verstappen will win the World Championship, and if he doesn't do it with Red Bull, it will be no skin off his nose and Yoss's nose. Obviously, we know a guy who is with him. Obviously, he doesn't steer a ship anymore like he did when he was with Toro Rosso, but obviously he does a lot of decisions with him. But it'll be no skin off Max's nose to move to any team that'll offer him the chance to win the World Championship. And if Red Bull don't offer him the World Championship either this year or the cut-off date is next year, if they don't do that, Max, it will be...
I predicted Max was happened to win the World Championship in 2018 because when he signed for Toro Rosso, I said, "Here's your 2018 World Champion."
That's good, and that's like one of those bare minimum things. And I know you can't go any more so than winning the World Championship, Well, you can win in 2 World Championships, but you
yeah,
can't do
yeah,
one
you win
season.
twice.
But no, I mean, you kind of do in one season.
Yeah,
but that is the bare minimum he can do in 2018 because, as I've just said there, if he doesn't win in 2018, that's it. And as I say, Max Verstappen, he's almost. It's been like what people were saying last year when like about like before Spain, during Spain, and after Spain. Has Max got the most power in the paddock in terms of moving teams? You know what I mean? And if it comes back to that, Max can go to any team, but to give him the chance to win the World Championship, because that is what I see on Max's horizon. And again, what Jordan just said, if he wins in 2018, there we go, that's another book, that's another page written in the book. But if he doesn't, I think Max will easily leave Red Bull. Easily. He'll just go to a team that, like Ferrari or Mercedes, that will offer him the chance to win the World Championship.
I mean, should they become available? Because we do know that Vettel's contract runs out in 2018, Hamilton's does. So
silly season is massive, but obviously we'll be making a lot of videos on that through the season. Loads, won't we?
Yeah, so make sure obviously you stay tuned with us to find out what we say and what comes out about them. So obviously that's where we'll wrap up this episode, guys. Thank you very much for watching as well. Obviously, leave your opinions in the comment section below. It's been a very debatable episode this one, I must say. We do have like our opinions and stuff, but this week has just been one of them weeks where it's like, especially Seb and Lewis. That's a massive debatable topic. But anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching as well. If you have liked this video, please give it a like as well. Subscribe if you are new. We do like a subscriber too.
And we've just, sorry, can I say one more thing as well? Just to let our viewers know, we've just learned that the Daily Express magazine, newspaper, in the UK has just released that the FIA will be hosting a meeting, like a tribunal, between the FIA director, and obviously Charlie Whiting, Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel, and that will be taking place on Monday. So obviously we'll keep you updated about what will be happening, which obviously with what will be happening in that as well.
That should be very interesting. So obviously, as like Lyle said, we'll keep in tune with that. But anyways, guys, we have been there for the debate show, and we'll see you next time.
See you later, guys. Take care.